Peace and blessings. Today I'm going to focus on 38:30 through 38:34. And this verse is one of the verses that talks about the horse. So you're probably familiar with Solomon's horses and that story. So based on what we've studied and researched for the Quranic definition of what the horse means, it matches very well the biblical definition for what the horse means. So the spiritual meaning of the horse, it's what is in you that drives and pushes you to reach your ultimate goals. So your dreams, and we're not talking about dreams when you're sleeping and what happens at that time. We're talking about your real life dreams. Look at it this way. So your subconscious mind, we know it does a lot and we know very little about it. But this dream of yours, whatever this strength and force is that gives you strength and power to move towards a destination, whatever it may be, it has a little bit of something to do with every little thing you do in your life. You may not have ever thought about it that way, but there is a backdrop to your thinking. So what are your dreams? What is the picture that your mind makes of your ultimate destiny, of who you're striving to be? You know, even if you've never made a conscious decision, you're striving to be something, okay? It may be good, it may be bad, but that is what your dream is. And that power and strength is looked at as symbolically as the horse or your spiritual horses. So let's take a look at the verses and then we'll go into some explanation here. So I'm going to read 38:30 through 38:34. And we blessed David with Solomon. What an excellent servant. Indeed, he repeatedly turned. Remember, when there were exhibited before him in the evening the poised standing racehorses. He said, Lo, I have loved the love of the things of this life better than the remembrance of my Lord until the sun was hidden behind the veil. Return them to me. And he began to stroke their legs and necks. And we certainly tried Solomon and placed on his throne a body. Then he returned. Okay, so you're familiar with that story. So this first verse, and we blessed David with Solomon. What an excellent servant. Indeed, he repeatedly turned. This was someone who was constantly returning to God, meaning he was always going inward to check himself. So I want you to understand that prayer is excellent. But during the prayer, you're not always checking yourself. Okay, you're not checking yourself. A lot of times you're not. Maybe at the end of the prayer, we might take a moment to reflect on our behavior or something like that and ask God to bless us to do better. But this should be going on all the time. So Solomon was the person. Let's not look at him as a flesh individual. Look at his character. And see if you see that character in yourself. That's really how we're supposed to look at the people and the prophets and the messengers. You don't look at them as flesh bodies. So within you, checking yourself, okay? This is what God considered an excellent servant, this person that repeatedly turned inward. And then this is the best of us. What times do you usually go inward? Let's think about it for a second. So we could say when you're having therapy, that's probably one. Obviously, like we said, in prayer for some, studying the scripture, those are all places where we may actually go inward or if something happens. All right, so remember, there were exhibited before him in the evening the poised standing racehorses. This is the second part of this. Now, though we're constantly checking ourselves, most of us don't realize the strength and power of what's been driving us until we're placed in a dark situation, meaning something is taken from us or we cannot see what the outcome of whatever our situation is going to be, this uncertainty. This is when we're forced to go inward, and this is a much deeper inward that we're going to go. So, you know, this could be a loss of life, a loss of property, loss of food, loss of status. And we've read verses in the scripture that mention that God is going to allow these things to happen to you. But let's just take a look at it, okay? So you have small things that happen to you every day, right? Like you might have something going on at work that's irritating you, or someone bumps into you, or someone curses you out, or somebody, does something to you at the light, and you're beeping your horn. Now, you may go inward for a split second, but it's more so, it shows up as an emotion, almost like a warning. It's a part of your checks and balances for your spirituality, but it's very base level, I would say. But then there's times when, like I said, loss of life. This is different. This is when you're going to get to really see what you're made of, okay? But there are different levels that we've been blessed to be given by God to go inward. It doesn't always have to be a tragedy, but sometimes it does. And God is saying that He will do this to you on a quite regular basis so that He can test you. So the next verse says, He said, "Lo, I have loved the love of good things better than the remembrance of my Lord until the sun was hidden behind the veil." In this state, your spirituality, it reveals itself, right? So we're talking about the sun being hidden behind the veil. When your spirituality reveals itself, it veils your material life, your regular existence, your day to day. You're in a spiritual state when something like this happens to you. As you experience these feelings, these emotions and thoughts that come along with, examining what you've prioritized, you'll either remember that God is in control of all things and you'll act accordingly, or you'll fall into dismay, regret, or grief, or depression of some sort. Those are your two options. You'll also get to see the hypocrisy that you've been committing in this moment. These are very special moments. These heated moments in your life, or these tragic moments. Pay attention to them, okay? You get to see yourself in the mirror in these moments. For example, you know when you're cheating, okay? You know when you're lying, you know when you're stealing, you know when you've hurt someone, and you know when you've said that you have a moral code, but you're still doing these things. It comes up in these moments, okay? And like I said, this is what really reveals your true level of faith, and it's an opportunity. So the next line, return them to me, and he began to stroke their legs and necks, okay? So this is saying that you begin to trace back over the steps you've taken and all of the transactions between your mind and your heart, right? This is your legs, right? All of the steps you've taken, and your neck. This is the place where the transactions happen between your mind and your heart. And you probably say, if only I would have done this differently or that, or, had another chance. This is what happens in these moments. But if you think about it, this is similar to what happens at death. So you can look at these moments as a type of death, right? So you hear about people saying things like your life flashes before your eyes. That is the same thing that happens when you're having these moments, these tragedies and things happen. It's the same thing, right? So if you look at it like that, it's a type of death, and that a new life can come out of this when these things happen. Okay, this is when you're supposed to die so that you can live. When you've heard that term, dies so that you can live, this is what it's actually talking about. Many times, before something big or major like death happens, you get a warning. So before you have a heart attack, a lot of times you've had chest pains, right? The person that maybe they were caught cheating, they probably got a warning and got another chance. Or you maybe been arrested or something like that, and you had no previous offenses, so you got another chance. This is your chance. These moments are your chance, okay, before the big thing happens. These small moments, but when the big thing happens, you're prepared because you've died to old concepts, old beliefs, old behaviors, so that you can live and you can survive what's new and what's coming and actually thrive in it. But yeah, he began to stroke over his legs and his neck. So pondering all of the signs that that came and that you ignored, right? Maybe that you weren't aware of. And some of it is in, as we said in the beginning, God said that Solomon was one of his excellent servants. So this can happen to you when you're not paying attention and in your unawareness of things. It can happen to you. Because we're talking about the subconscious mind. Don't forget about that. Okay, your dreams and desires and goals, and how something can intervene in them, and you're unaware of it and off to the wrong. You've gotten off on the wrong track. So your legs, what you've been standing upon, right? Meaning your principles, right? Did you tell yourself it was fine to eat the terrible foods before the heart attack? Did you say to yourself you weren't going to get caught lying and cheating? What are your principles? Do you have any? The legs, or like we said, where you go. You'll think of everywhere you took yourself and every moment that led up to this tragedy or this incident. And then, like I said, the neck, what connects your mind and your heart. You will contemplate and reflect on all of the transactions between your mind and heart and try to reconcile in your mind what happens. This entire process is what we go through every time we're faced with one of these incidents that makes us go inward. And like I said, there are many different levels of it. So lastly, and we certainly tried Solomon and placed on his throne a body, then he returned. Okay, so again, Solomon, this is the excellent servant. Look at yourself, okay? Are you the excellent servant that turns inward to check yourself? Are you that person? Or maybe you're not. But this person, this type of person, in this scripture, God is saying that he placed on his throne a body, then he returned. He had to go through all of this, right? So in this is a major, 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 major test. You get to see how you've been leading yourself in the flesh without prioritizing your soul. That is the ultimate point. You get to see how you've been leading yourself in the flesh. So, your leadership is your throne, right? How you've been leading yourself in the flesh without prioritizing the soul. If you are sincere, it will cause you to learn a lesson and to redeem yourself. Maybe you'll return, right? You've heard of The Walking Dead. These are people that move about, like robots. Basically, that's kind of what it's talking about. You work, you sleep, you get up, you go do the same things every day, but you're not being led by goodness, kindness, these attributes, these divine attributes that God said we should strive toward. You don't really have self-leadership, right? There's a body on your throne. You're being led by society. And again, you may or may not even know in what areas this is happening to you. That's why constantly praying, constantly stopping yourself and going inward, really listening to yourself when things happen, having a checks and balance system, and this is something that can take a lifetime to really, I don't want to say get comfortable in, but to feel okay with. You hear about people saying that they're okay with death, even at a younger age. There's got to be something in their spirituality where they have this check and balance system that allows them to know that, hey, I haven't been doing that bad. I've been, when something happens, I don't lose my temper. I haven't been doing things that make my soul feel guilty or regretful or anything like that. And that's what we want to work towards, obviously, as human beings. Okay, so in closing, we want to remember that our horses are the things that drive us and excite us toward our works and to reach our goals. This is what motivates us. Check your horses, okay? And make sure you aren't worshiping them instead of God. So that's all for today. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, The Spiritual Reality. I'm on YouTube. I'm getting ready to start podcasting on some of the other sites. So I'll keep you posted on that. I may do another verse on the horse just because you kind of delved into this. But the next animal we're going to take a look at is going to be the pig. I don't know, if you've been paying attention to this or not, but I've been doing mostly the land animals in scripture. I want to get to the air animals in Scripture, the sea animals, and then we're going to talk about the elements. And this is a project, it's a lifetime project of mine. It's going to take me the rest of my life to get through this stuff, but I'm truly enjoying and appreciating this, and it's really changed my life. So I hope you are too. Peace and blessings.